Hello. Sorry to call so early. Brian left for his business trip and forgot some important documents. Are these papers something he can't manage without? What? Business trip? I thought he took a vacation. Oh, now that you mention it. What? No, it's nothing. It's not nothing, you were about to say something. All right. I'll tell you, but it's just a rumor. Husband Brian forgot to bring important documents for his business trip. I called Brian, but he didn't answer, so I decided to call former colleague Margaret, since Brian and I used to work at the same office. Margaret told me there were rumors that Brian was having an affair with a female employee who is 12 years younger than him. As I listened, I became convinced that Brian wasn't on a business trip, but rather on a cheating trip. Tomorrow is our wedding anniversary, and he's on a cheating trip. What are you going to do? I need to think. Although I said I needed to think, in my heart, I had already decided to get a divorce. However, if I was going to get a divorce, I wanted to confront him with undeniable proof of his affair. But I didn't know where Brian had gone for his cheating trip. While I was racking my brain trying to figure out what to do, my daughter Nicole, who had just finished getting ready for kindergarten, came up to me. What's wrong? Did Daddy lie again? He did. I had always known that Nicole had a strange talent. But at this moment, I realized that her talent was far beyond my imagination. Don't worry, leave it to me. What? With her ability, I could corner Brian. I immediately called work and the kindergarten to inform them we'd be taking a day off, and then I rushed out of the house with Nicole. My name is Catherine. I'm 32 years old and I work part-time. I was a company employee until I got married to Brian and got pregnant with Nicole. We met at work and fell in love, and Brian still works at the same company. I've always loved working, so my colleagues were surprised when I told them I was quitting my job. It was surprising enough that you got married, but to think you'd quit your job too. Is it really that surprising? You always loved your work and were so dedicated. Everyone, including me, thought you'd come back to work after having the baby. I do love my work and I'd like to continue, but raising a child is more demanding than I ever imagined. If I'm exhausted from childcare, the quality of my work would suffer, and it would be a burden on both my colleagues and our clients. So, I decided to quit for now. That's so like you, Catherine, to think that way. But once things settle down, I plan to at least take on a part-time job. If I have the energy after childcare or if Nicole gets older and requires less attention, I might even go back to a full-time job. My colleagues saw me off with a mix of surprise and fondness. Later, I safely gave birth to Nicole. Childcare was exactly as challenging as I had imagined, if not more. Quitting work to focus on raising her was the right decision. When Nicole started kindergarten, things got a little easier. With more time on my hands, I decided to start working part-time. I plan to reconsider going back to a full-time job when Nicole is around 11 years old. Even with the slight ease in childcare, it's still a tough job. Especially dealing with Nicole's unique personality quirks. What did you do at kindergarten today? The teacher showed me a catalog. Again? Didn't you play with your friends? I didn't play. I just looked at the catalog. The catalog Nicole was referring to was a thick commercial catalog featuring everything from stationery to large copiers used in the kindergarten. It seemed she got interested when the teacher was flipping through it to order supplies. Nicole would beg the teacher to borrow the catalog every day and would sit by herself in the corner of the classroom, engrossed in it. According to the teacher, Nicole had become a living catalog herself from reading it so much. Teacher, what are you looking for? I was thinking of buying glue for everyone to use. If it's glue, it's on page 86. The thin green glue is 40131156, and the one with the cap you open is 05296193. Nicole not only remembered the page with the glue in the catalog but also the product codes. Since they often use it in preschool, I guess she just happened to remember it. But what fun does Nicole find in remembering such things? As her mother, I was always baffled by Nicole's preference for business catalogs over picture books and coloring books. Nicole's unique personality often meant she couldn't fit in with the other kids at preschool, and she often clashed with them. It's not surprising that Nicole spends much of her time at preschool alone. But the preschool catalog isn't the only thing about Nicole that leaves me perplexed. Of course, she can't bring the preschool catalogs home. So at home, Nicole spends her time looking through Brian's comic books. Even though she can't read yet, she enjoys looking at the pictures. I've bought her picture books before. Hey, what about that picture book we got the other day? Oh, I'm done with that. Even when I buy her picture books, she'll glance through them once and then lose interest. As a result, our shelves are lined with nearly new picture books. For Nicole, the illustrations in comic books seem to be more appealing than those in picture books. Additionally, Nicole has a kid's tablet, and she often watches videos on it, but not children's shows or cartoons. Instead, she loves watching scenic videos, especially drone footage. Her way of watching these videos is also unique. What's up? Is there something you want to see? Nothing in particular. I just want to see this part again. Nicole rewinds her favorite scenes about 20 seconds and watches the same part over and over again. She can spend an entire afternoon doing this, watching the same scene repeatedly without getting bored. I couldn't understand what she found so fascinating about watching the same scene. It made me worried if I could truly continue being a good mother for her. Brian, too, shared my concern about Nicole, though his worries were somewhat different from mine. She often clashes with her friends, and she has these strong quirks in what she says and does. Do you think Nicole might have a developmental disorder? I don't think so. Her conversations seem more mature compared to other kids her age. Maybe she's just really smart? So, Nicole is just an eccentric genius? That might make sense. They often say geniuses are quirky. Brian and I, feeling a bit relieved, concluded that Nicole might actually be a genius. To confirm this, we decided to test her. Hey, Nicole. Can you solve this problem? I'll show you how, so give it a try. What is this? It's a subtraction problem. Let's study a little. I created some math problems by hand. Nicole could already do simple addition. So I decided to challenge her with two-digit subtraction. If Nicole were truly a genius, she should be able to solve them easily once I showed her how. I don't get it. It seemed Nicole wasn't a genius after all. After about 5 minutes of trying to teach her, she got frustrated and threw her pencil. But Brian and I didn't give up yet. Genius isn't just about academic ability. Next, we decided to have Nicole try drawing. In kindergarten, Nicole draws pictures, but those are based on given themes, not something she draws freely. I bought new colored pencils. Shall we draw together? Look, a luxurious set of 36 colors. Wow! So many colors. What should I draw? Draw whatever you want, Nicole. Nicole's eyes sparkled as she eagerly picked up one colored pencil after another. As we watched the picture taking shape, Brian and I were astonished. Nicole's drawing had a clear sense of depth, and the composition and overall balance were perfect. It didn't look like something a 4-year-old kindergartner would draw. Hey! This is amazing! Nicole is a genius at art. Really? This is incredible. But why did she draw this picture? Nicole had drawn a commercial desk and a muscular man with scars. It seemed she had drawn the desk from a catalog she saw at kindergarten and a character from Brian's comic book at home. We realized Nicole had a talent for drawing, but we hoped she would draw something more suitable for a kindergartner. How about drawing an airplane next? When I requested this, Nicole drew an airplane in 5 seconds. Done! Huh? This is an airplane? Maybe it's an airplane seen from the ground, looking up? The airplane Nicole drew was smaller than a thumb, with only an outline. Come to think of it, the drawings Nicole brought home from kindergarten were always like this. Compared to the desk and character drawing, it was simple and mysterious. Brian and I thought about Nicole again. Isn't she drawing exactly what she sees? That's why the pictures she draws with a given theme at kindergarten are like this airplane. But when she's free to draw what she likes, she can draw such detailed pictures. Doesn't that mean she has a keen observation? I thought she was just watching the catalogs and videos without getting bored, but she was observing them in detail. Got it. She might be watching the same scenes and videos to confirm how the appearance changes from different angles. We concluded that Nicole had an extraordinary power of observation and the talent to translate that into her drawings. Realizing Nicole's artistic talent, Brian started talking eagerly about the future. She'll go to an art university. Art universities cost more than regular ones, right? I need to start working hard now to save for Nicole's tuition. You're already talking about university? Nicole is still a kindergartner. I laughed at Brian's words, but I was also thinking, maybe. Even if Nicole didn't go to an art university, it was good for Brian to work hard. Nicole had a talent for drawing, and Brian was working hard for the family. I imagined a bright future and couldn't help but smile. However, from this moment, we started moving toward a darker future. A year after we realized Nicole had a talent for drawing. Since then, Brian really worked hard and raised his evaluation at work. Nicole turned 5 and became more capable of thinking and making decisions by herself. Nicole, who became able to make various decisions, began to realize she was different. But she didn't force herself to fit in with other kids, deciding that she was herself and others were others. She didn't seem troubled by being different. Rather, by accepting her own personality, she managed to get along well with others. What did you do at kindergarten today? Drawing. Again? You're always drawing alone. Drawing is fun. Even when friends come, I tell them not to talk to me. When you only listen to Nicole's words, it sounds like she's rejecting others, but according to the teacher, that's not the case. Nicole started taking the 36-color pencils I bought her to kindergarten and stopped looking at catalogs to draw instead. Her drawings are so good that friends gather around her. However, she can't concentrate on her drawings when friends talk to her, so she consulted with the teacher. The teacher made a rule that it's okay to watch Nicole while she draws, but not to talk to her while she's drawing. Now, many friends gather around Nicole to see her drawings. At kindergarten, being able to draw well can make you a bit of a hero. Nicole has become a hero at kindergarten, and she now plays with her friends when she's not drawing. Knowing about Nicole's talent, I also began to understand her better. As a result, my parenting anxieties about Nicole were relieved. But now, I have new worries. I'm going out for a bit. Again? Are you going to work or study outside? Why not do it at home? If I stay at home, Nicole won't like it, and she won't be able to concentrate on her drawing, right? I don't think you need to worry that much. On weekends, Brian started leaving the house more often. Nicole began to dislike Brian. Nicole often draws at home too. Brian, thinking that staying at home and disturbing her concentration would make her dislike him even more, tried not to upset Nicole. He also made sure to bring her treats when he came home. "I'm back. Look, cream puffs. You like these cream puffs, right? I love them too." "I don't really like them. They're just okay." "Oh? Really? Did your taste change?" Nicole's taste hasn't changed. She was just being cold to Brian. Of course, Brian noticed this. "Why does Nicole dislike me so much? Did I do something wrong?" "I always watch you at home, and I don't think you've done anything to make her dislike you." "Then why is she so cold to me?" "Well, isn't it that classic I hate dad phase? It's a rite of passage for men with daughters. She'll go back to being like she was before. Just hang in there." I tried to cheer Brian up, but it didn't work, and he remained downcast. Seeing Brian looking as if he was attending 3 funerals at once, I couldn't stand it and decided to talk to Nicole. "Why are you so cold to Brian? He was really shocked earlier, you know?" "Because Dad lies." "What? When did Dad lie?" "He said he likes cream puffs, but that's a lie." "It's not a lie. Dad has always liked cream puffs." "But he once said he didn't like it when the cream's taste changed." "When was that?" "A year ago." Nicole remembered that Brian once said he didn't like the taste of the cream puffs from his favorite store about a year ago. But it's hard to believe that a kindergartner like Nicole could remember such a trivial comment from a year ago. Moreover, Brian isn't the type to notice subtle changes in the taste of cream. Nicole must be misunderstanding something. However, according to Nicole, Brian's lies have become more noticeable recently, and it's been eroding her trust in him. It's been so long that Nicole's memory might be wrong, and Dad might have forgotten what he said. Don't assume he's lying, and try to be nicer to him. I advised Nicole to change her attitude towards her dad. I hope this will make her dislike of her dad lessen even a little. However, a few days passed, and Nicole's attitude showed no significant change as our daily routine continued. "I'm going on another business trip soon. This time, it'll be 3 nights and 4 days, a bit longer." "This one's a bit longer, huh? The frequency of your trips has been increasing lately. I guess it means you're being trusted with more responsibilities." "Well, that's how it is. Also, about the timing of the trip, it's actually in 2 weeks." "What? 3 nights and 4 days in 2 weeks? Could it be?" "Yeah, it coincides with our wedding anniversary. We've always spent our wedding anniversaries together, but I don't think I can keep that promise this year." "It's disappointing, but if it's for work, it can't be helped. You need to work hard for Nicole's future, especially if we want to send her to art college." "Sorry about that. But I'll make it up to you, I promise." "It's unfortunate, but it can't be helped. I don't want to say something dramatic like, which is more important, your work or me, like some love-stricken person. Besides, it's good that Brian is being trusted with more work. Recently, Brian seems to be particularly motivated. At home, he's often checking his planner, spreading out documents, and making serious faces. I've decided to forget about our wedding anniversary and support Brian in his work. Also, it's a good opportunity to help Nicole improve her attitude towards Brian. You see, you might not have noticed because he's often away, but Dad is always working hard for us, for you and me. For the 2 weeks leading up to Brian's trip, I made sure to show Nicole how Brian works hard. If she sees how dedicated Brian is to his work, it might change Nicole's feelings. My plan seemed to work because, without me saying anything, Nicole started to observe Brian working at home. Though she didn't talk to him, she would peek at his hands from behind or wander around nearby. We're still far from resolving things, But for now, I'll take it as a good sign that the distance between Nicole and Brian is shrinking. 2 weeks later, Brian left for his business trip earlier than usual. After seeing Brian off, I started preparing to take Nicole to kindergarten. When I looked under the living room table, I saw a document lying there. Brian had been sitting on the living room sofa looking at documents last night, so he must have dropped it then. If it's an important document, that could be a big problem. I quickly called Brian. But he didn't answer, perhaps he didn't notice the call. Thinking this could be a serious issue, I decided to call Margaret, a former colleague of ours, to see if the document was important. Brian and I used to work at the same place, and I know Margaret's private phone number. I quickly grabbed my smartphone and called Margaret. Hello. Sorry for calling so early. Brian left for a business trip and forgot a document. Do you know if this is something he can access on his laptop, or is this the original and crucial?
What? A business trip? I thought he took time off. Oh, by the way.
What?
No, it's nothing.
Nothing? You started to say something.
All right. I'll tell you, but it's just a rumor, okay?
This preface already tells me it's something bad. I brace myself, hoping it's not too damaging, as I listen to Margaret's story.
I think you're being cheated on. The other person is a new employee who joined last year. There are rumors about their relationship within the company. You were told it was a business trip when he actually took a vacation, right? Unfortunately, that female employee also took time off starting today. It feels like it's undeniable now.
Out of all the bad scenarios I had imagined, the one I least wanted to hear has come true. A new graduate last year means she's 23 years old now. Brian is 35 this year, so she's 12 years younger. What is he thinking? As I was in disbelief at Brian's foolishness, I realized something. If Brian's affair started when the female employee joined the company, it's been going on for about a year. That coincides with the time Brian started saying he was working hard and spending more time out of the house. In other words, while pretending to work hard for Nicole, he was actually using her to cover up his affair. Also, now that I know Brian is having an affair, various unrelated points start to connect clearly. For the past 2 weeks, working from home was likely just a cover for preparing for the affair trip, making it look like he was ready for a business trip. It was just an act, so he didn't even notice when he dropped documents. There had never been such an act for previous business trips, so this affair trip is probably the first. However, since it's his first affair trip, Brian might have overdone the act to cover it up. Given this, Nicole's words don't seem off the mark. Brian doesn't have a sensitive enough palate to notice subtle changes in the taste of cream puffs. But what about his affair partner? If she's a young woman who loves sweets, she might notice the slight change in taste. Brian ate the cream puffs with his affair partner, heard from her about the change in taste, and tried to impress Nicole by pretending he noticed the change himself. But in reality, Brian didn't understand the taste change at all and kept eating the cream puffs, saying they were delicious. I'll need to apologize to Nicole later. Tomorrow is our wedding anniversary, and he's going on an affair trip.
What will you do?
I'll think about it. I said I'd think about it and hung up, but in my mind, divorce is almost certain. If I am to divorce, I want to present undeniable evidence of the affair. However, I don't know where Brian went for the affair trip. As I was pondering what to do, Nicole, ready for kindergarten, came up to me.
What's wrong? Did Daddy lie again?
Yes. I'm sorry I didn't believe you the other day. The other day?
The cream puff incident.
Oh, the one Daddy talked about on May 14th.
What?
You remember the date? I do. Before, I would have dismissed it, thinking there's no way she remembers the exact date. But now that the cream puff story might be true, I decide to double-check. Remember when I bought you the 36 color pencil set? Then, when you lost the blue one, I got you just the blue one. Do you remember when that was?
I told you I lost it on April 21st, and I got the replacement on April 26th.
Since I bought the colored pencil online, I checked the order history. The order date was April 21st last year, and the delivery was completed on April 26th. Nicole's statements were flawless. I used to think Nicole had a talent for drawing because of her keen observation skills, but it seems that's not the case. Nicole seems to have an extraordinary memory. The reason she doesn't need to read picture books more than once is that she remembers the content perfectly. Moreover, simple picture books were probably not stimulating enough for Nicole. So, she preferred catalogs filled with information or comic books with lots of illustrations. Her keen observation skills and artistic talent seemed to be linked to her remarkable memory. It was clear that I still had much to learn about Nicole. And Nicole wasn't just gifted with an excellent memory. She also had an extraordinary ability. With this ability, I could corner Brian. I quickly contacted my workplace and Nicole's preschool to inform them of our absence and then hurriedly left the house with Nicole. Once we left the house, our first stop was my parents' place, where I explained the situation to my mother and left Nicole in her care. Nicole's memory was so sharp that exposing her to the chaos of an infidelity confrontation would be disastrous. If she retained such a vivid memory, it would be problematic. After leaving Nicole with my mother, I called the hotel where Brian was staying and made a reservation. Since it was a weekday, I managed to secure a booking. It might have been impossible on a weekend. Upon arriving at the hotel, I discreetly made my way to my room. Brian still had no idea that I was aware of his affair. I intended to make full use of this advantage. After spending the night at the hotel, I checked out. Although I could have waited for Brian to leave the hotel, I wanted to enjoy a bit of the trip since I had taken time off work. The outcome was already certain, so there was no need to rush. I decided to buy some souvenirs for my parents and Nicole. After shopping, I had an early lunch. Once I finished my lunch, I didn't leave the restaurant but stayed near the entrance, waiting for Brian to arrive. After about 10 minutes of fiddling with my smartphone, I saw a face I didn't want to see approaching. Right on time. The lunch here was delicious. How were the sweets over there? I'm thinking of going there next.
You? Why are you here?
Brian was so shocked he nearly stumbled. Behind Brian was a young woman. This must be his mistress. Brian's words made it clear to her that I was his wife, and she looked down, avoiding eye contact, clearly uncomfortable.
What am I doing here? That should be my line. Today is our wedding anniversary, isn't it? So why are you with your mistress? Mistress? No. This is a business trip. Out of the 4 days, today is my day off. I'm going back to the town's hotel by evening, and tomorrow I'll be working again. That can't be right. After lunch here, you're planning to visit the nearby beach, aren't you? Dinner at the hotel tonight, breakfast at a famous pancake place tomorrow morning, and then a visit to the renowned lake, right? After the lake, you plan to go to a popular cafe for pudding. What else was there?
Since I didn't have Nicole's exceptional memory, I took out a note. I read out the schedule like a work report, as it was written down.
What the hell? What's with that note?
Seemingly thinking it held the secret to how I knew his schedule, Brian grabbed the note from me.
What the? This note has our entire trip schedule, even down to the times. How is this possible? This is exactly what's in my planner. How did you get this? I kept my planner separate for work and made sure you'd never find it.
Nicole saw it and memorized everything. That's how I knew which hotel you were staying at. You might have been cautious around me, but you didn't think Nicole would notice, did you?
Memory? That's impossible. Even if she saw it, it was only from a distance for a few seconds. How could she remember the names and times so precisely?
Apparently, she can do it. We thought Nicole had a keen sense of observation, but it turns out she has an extraordinary memory. She can instantly memorize what she sees as if taking a photo in her mind. It's called eidetic memory or photographic memory. That's why she remembered your affair schedule after just a few seconds of looking at it.
Is there really someone who can do that in reality?
I thought the same as Brian at first. Memorizing instantly and remembering it forever. I believed such a thing was only in the world of comics or, if it existed, was an urban legend. However, witnessing Nicole's ability surprised me, proving it to be real. The dates of the colored pencils order and their arrival at the house matched perfectly. Nicole truly remembers everything. Hey, do you remember what was written in Dad's schedule? You were hanging around Dad, watching him work at home, right?
Yeah. You told me to watch Dad, so I remember. Wait a moment.
Nicole stared at the empty air for a few seconds. I started to give up, thinking she wouldn't remember Brian's schedule. I guess it's impossible. She can't remember it that conveniently, can she?
It's okay, leave it to me. Oh, I found it. What? I can't read it, so I'll write it.
When I handed Nicole paper and a pen, she began to write Brian's schedule. It was the note that Brian had just snatched from me. Nicole, being only 5 years old, didn't understand difficult words. However, she seemed to have memorized Brian's schedule as a single picture, just like taking a photo. Therefore, she could imitate and draw the shapes and landscapes. In Nicole's mind, there seemed to be a large bookshelf with many albums. By pulling out the necessary pictures from those albums, she could remember many things. It's a mysterious ability that an ordinary person like me can't comprehend. With Nicole's mysterious power, I managed to preemptively strike instead of barging into the scene of the affair, something normally impossible. Even if Brian claimed it wasn't an affair, knowing the schedule made it too hard to deny. Brian seemed to understand that too and changed his tactics with me.
Look, this is just a note, right? It's not the schedule itself. I can't be accused of having an affair over something like this. And as I said earlier, we're just using our spare time during business trips to come here. We're not having an affair.
Brian seemed to be trying to get away without decisive proof of the affair. However, I had completely grasped the schedule of their affair trips. It's not like I wouldn't have measures against such a stereotypical method of escaping when caught having an affair, like something out of a guidebook.
You can't talk your way out of this.
I had filmed the two of them entering and leaving the same room with my smartphone. Knowing the schedule, I had a good idea of when they would return to the hotel. I also knew they would come out of their room for breakfast at the hotel this morning. I kept track of their actions, knowing they wouldn't expect me to be there. Since Brian was off guard, it was easy to capture evidence of the affair on video. Did you think you could get away without solid proof? Unfortunately for you, I filmed the two of you on a trip, staying in the same room. This counts as undeniable proof of infidelity.
You were staying at the hotel.
Confronted with the decisive evidence of his affair, Brian seemed to give up. He stopped making excuses and fell silent. The affair partner has been visibly flustered since I showed up, unable to utter a single word. It's understandable, A 23-year-old girl simply doesn't have the power to handle this kind of chaos. And Brian, whom she should rely on, is in no better shape.
I'm going to do some sightseeing before I head back, but you don't need to come home anymore. We'll discuss the divorce in detail once your affair vacation is over.
Leaving Brian and his mistress behind, I decided to treat myself to some sweets. Given the solid evidence of the affair, the divorce proceedings went smoothly. Naturally, I got custody of Nicole. Brian is required to pay both alimony and child support. I thought Brian might marry his affair partner after our divorce, but that didn't happen. For some reason, their affair became widely known at his workplace. I had only confided in Margaret about the affair and made her promise.
Don't tell anyone, okay?
Got it. I won't tell a soul. Which, of course, meant she could tell anyone she wanted. Understanding my intent, Margaret spread the news of the affair all over the office. Even if Brian confronted me later, I could feign ignorance. I had stressed to Margaret not to say anything, so if Brian had complaints, he could take them up with her. But if he did that, it would just create more gossip, spreading even further. Brian and his affair partner could just suffer through the cold stares at work. A 23-year-old girl isn't equipped to handle such hostility at the office. Moreover, furious at Brian for putting her in this situation, she dumped him and quit the job. Her departure left a cloud over Brian, with everyone expecting, "So, when are you quitting?" Unable to withstand the pressure, Brian eventually resigned as well. I had informed his parents about the divorce, and they disowned him. With his affair partner abandoning him too, Brian was left utterly alone. However, at 35, he's still relatively young. He should be able to rebuild his life. I hope he reflects on this and decides to live honestly from now on. I decided to move back to my parents' house with Nicole. Nicole will soon start elementary school, giving me a bit more breathing room with childcare. My parents are also willing to help look after Nicole. So, I decided to return to work a little earlier than planned. I love working, so moving up the timeline is more than welcome. From now on, I'll focus on doing my best for Nicole.